So people are not only moving money internally; they are shipping money also to offshore accounts.
Yeah.
But those offshore accounts often operate blindly. I mean, how are you going to track that? They can take it to a Cayman Islands, and those regimes have all these laws that protect.
Yeah, it's not everyone who carries the money to sector. Cayman, for instance. Some just buy properties outside. Okay. They don't go through any elaborate scheme. Those ones...
So they are washing the money through real estate in other countries.
Exactly.
You found that in your investigations as well?
You know, we charge... almost all the charges we have filed, you see money laundering.
As part of it.
Yeah, as part of it.
I mean, that brings up the question of Chairman Wontumi. The accusation is that you are persecuting the man. Why are you persecuting Chairman Wontumi?
I don't think the government or the Attorney General's Department or any of the agencies we have is engaged in persecution of anyone, and definitely not Chairman Wontumi. The challenge we have as law enforcement agency is that it's not everything we can put out at every time that people make allegations of this kind, right? So, because we also are balancing the right of the suspects with what we want. So it is difficult, for example, for me to sit here and say, this suspect has done this, and that, when the investigative report, when the docket has not been built. Once the docket is built, you will see that no one is persecuting Chairman Wontumi. No way. I spent my past decade or more doing, human rights defense in so many difficult cases. I will not come and sit in Attorney General's office and be happy persecuting or harassing someone who we merely believe or suspect to be doing something wrong. My boss would not do that. And President Mahama has made it clear that he is not in this oral business to persecute anyone. And we know, myself and my boss, we know very well that if there is any evidence of misuse of our offices to persecute even opponents of the government, we will not last in our offices for even 1 more hour. So we will not risk that.
The manner of his arrest, I mean, we're told the officers literally blocked his vehicle in what they in the streets are going to call a pit maneuver, and yanked him out of the car with mask and put him in another vehicle. What you see in the movies, and they sort of drove him up to another location. His lawyers claimed they were not given access to him initially. He is then kept there for as long as we know, but then given a bail condition that was pretty onerous, he couldn't meet them. That led to the protests. He came out looking like he suffered a stroke. At least we saw the videos. That is, according to those who accuse you, is a very definition of persecution.
So that's I can understand them, but I disagree with what their view is. I can understand them in the sense that they don't have the full facts, and so they are watching what is being projected deliberately to them,
so what are
to
the
the media. Like I said,
what don't we know?
Yeah, so I'll give you some of the facts, but not ones that I can't give. Like I said, it's not everything that law enforcement agencies are allowed to put out there. So, for example, the law enforcement agencies have been trying to arrest, they've been trying to have Chairman Wontumi, assist in investigations for weeks before his arrest.
Yeah, but he turned himself in.
Yeah,
he had gone the first day. Cordially. The next day he showed up again.
So you recall,
he was cooperating.
You recall that before he came to Accra, there was a situation where his house was surrounded by national security and other law enforcement officials for hours. That should tell you how hard it has been for him. And before that, he himself, I think, mentioned it at the point that they wrote him a letter asking him to report and assist in investigation. But it appears he chose to treat it as, of course, it's an invitation, which you can ignore, and that is the law. If we are invited to police station, you may or may not go. But when you choose not to go or to go on your own terms, and the law enforcement agencies trigger the arrest option, I don't think you can say that is persecution.
But he went. Eventually, he drove to
So,
Accra.
yes, he came to Accra.
He told you when he will come. He did.
With the police,
came on the...
he is not being investigated by just one agency. So he came to Accra on the police, invitation. But that does not answer why he did not come to Iyoko.
Did Iyoko also write to him? Because we know about the police's invitation to him.
Yeah, you know about the police from him. He told the public that he has been written to.
But did Iyoko write to him?
I cannot answer that question. But what I'm saying is that it is up to him to decide what to give to the public and what not to give to the public. But what we know is that every step that we have taken in respect of the situation, we did in accordance with law. And I think his lawyer confirmed that to the public at a point. So it is difficult for me to accept that there is persecution. Of course, I expect if there is persecution, there are procedures which the complainant
What is he
may
being
follow.
investigated for exactly?
Oh, his contracts with the state in terms of monies had and received is a technical term, which means that monies have been given for
to execute
yeah.
a project.
Yeah, that is one. His mining activities are in the investigation. There are issues of vehicle, purchase of vehicle. There are issues with our foreign partners, investigative agencies. We partner with other foreign agencies who are interested in things that have been traced or suspicions of crime that have been traced to his business and he himself.
So you mean this is investigation triggered not by us, but by our foreign partners?
No, so it is not that it will be triggered necessarily by our foreign partners, but our foreign partners are interested in what we are doing, and they assist us just as we assist them in the crimes that they fight. Because that's how the world law enforcement is going these days. It's cooperative, it's international, and all that. So they are interested in
Wuntumi's case?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they suspect that proceeds of crime or materials which are subject to criminal proceedings have found themselves in his possession.
But why the foreign? Did he do something through the foreign countries? Or?
That is something I cannot confirm. Not that I cannot put out at this point. But the point I'm trying to make is that we will not persecute anyone.
And this car import-export syndicate that yesterday your colleague, the government spokesperson, mentioned it as part of the investigations is because of a syndicate that it were bringing in cars into this country. How big a part of the investigation is that? Yeah, so it's taking shape. To be honest with you, I believe our international foreign partners are very much interested in the oral, movement, because we are assisting them just as they are assisting us to recover assets in their countries. So we write to them, they write to us, we discuss options, and then we take actions. So that is what is going on. What's the nature of this import thing? I mean, I'm just curious on that. Yesterday, I spoke to Felix Kwachufos, who mentioned it, but what's the nature of it? I cannot put that out because you need to understand, if I am here and I'm telling you the design, the scheme, what I'm also doing is to inform the suspects that we are looking for you in this direction, and then it helps them to evade investigation. But you're getting assistance from the foreign partners definitely. To nail this one? Definitely. Okay. And that links to Ofori-Atta's thing. Because his family issued a statement 2 days ago, and they mentioned that yourselves, Foreign Affairs, appear to be assisting the OSP in pursuit of the Red Notice. What really is the nature of the assistance you've given the OSP on this? So the OSP, as we know, is having difficulty having the former minister, come to assist in investigations. That we all know for months. It gets to a point where we can't wait anymore because everything is time bound.
And so the OSP decide that they would seek international assistance. That's the red notice alert. The red notice alert is to tell everyone, all parties to the Interpol, treaty, that if you find this person in your jurisdiction, you can assist us to bring him back to face, justice in Ghana. And the assistance comes in so many forms. So you can arrest him and keep him temporarily. Beyond that, there must be a formal extradition process to have the person. So the fact that you're on the red notice is not automatic that there's an arrest warrant for which you'll be extradited. There must be a separate extradition process which would now assist, or wherever you are found, then we can trigger that for you to be arrested. You go through extradition proceedings in the country, and then you are shipped to Ghana to face prosecution. So in that respect, in the Office of Attorney General that helps with extradition, we assist all the agencies to deal with our foreign partners, how to arrest and bring that. So we are currently in the process of taking steps to have him extradited to Ghana, wherever he's found.
Okay, so wasn't, because you have an extradition treaty with the U.S.?
Yes.
We have an understanding with the U.S.
We have understanding.
What was the nature? What does the law prescribe that you do in this specific case?
So first of all, the crime must be crime in both countries. So whatever we are asking him to come and face must be crime, not just in Ghana, but also in the country that he is found. And then we make a formal application to the law enforcement agency in the country. They will look for him. They would place him under arrest. They have their own extradition process in that country where he has every right to object to the extradition.
Have you made that request yet?
We are in the process.
Of making the request to the U.S.
For
the law enforcement agencies in the U.S. to actively look for him.
Yeah, not just U.S. because we have to be sure of where he is, and that I cannot disclose, but let's use U.S. as an example. So we would.
He himself has said he's in the U.S. So
yeah, he has said a number of things that we have to confirm. So we can't take his word for that. So when our processes get to the U.S., I was saying, then they will go through the proceedings. He will have every right to object to the extradition, and there are so many grounds on which you can object to being extradited to country. One of such is that, so for example, in the UK, they are not going to extradite you to a country where they know you face execution when you are convicted. That is the European law. European human rights law doesn't allow that. So those are some of the grounds on which you may object. But to put a long story short, you have a full legal representation.
That is, but it must have been found and arrested before he can now object to being extradited. Yeah. So the law enforcement agents, once you trigger this, must now look for him, arrest him, tell you they have him, and then his lawyers will go into the process of now saying, I don't want to go, and then he'll provide his reason, and then you're prepared to fight that. Yeah,
our investigators will go and supply it, because the U.S. is not going to extradite you simply because we say bring him. They want to be sure that you have evidence and they need a basis for the extradition. So all those will be carried to the U.S. law enforcement. They will vet, the U.S. court will vet it and be sure that this is not just harassment and that the person really needs to be brought back, and then he will be brought back. And once it comes, he will be arrested on arrival, and then he will be cautioned or charged with the offense. He will be given the right to defend himself like anyone. And the process goes on. Of course, there will be bail consideration, whether to be granted bail and what terms the bail should take, all will be considered, just like any other trial that you've seen.
I mean, the accusation is that now that the AG's department is involved and all of you are political appointees, the OSP isn't. Well, he technically is, but the legal structure that sets him up says he's independent. But you are purely political appointees. And once you are involved, you have an interest just simply beyond justice. That there's also a political interest there, and that's why you're more than willing to trigger the processes to have him looked for in the U.S., arrested, bundled into a plane and brought into Ghana.
We are familiar with the accusation that any prosecution that we commence in respect of politician, a politician tends to be political benefit to us. We are aware of that accusation, but I can tell you it is not true. Because you see...
I mean, you raided his house before this happened.
We searched...
Well, you searched his house.
In accordance with the warrant.
According to the warrant, and his accusation was that you raided his house. I mean, you searched his house because you had a warrant. I mean, facts are facts.
Yeah.
You had a warrant. And the individual who led the search is somebody who had a bone and axe to grind with him, Jakba. Well, he was seen in the CCTV footage. And then you now link back to OSP's actions, and now the Attorney General is involved. Goodness me, this must be a political conspiracy.
That is not correct, because if the Attorney General doesn't do it, who else can do it? There's no other agency.
Why can't the OSP do it himself?
Well, we can look at that and make laws to allow OSP to do some of these things. But like I said, the United States is not going to bring anyone here simply because an NDC appointee or the Attorney General wants the person here. There's a whole process for extradition that they will go through. And I don't think that even if we are if our courts are so amenable to just take the word of the Attorney General without scrutiny, I don't think that favor extends to United States, even if that is the case in Ghana. So I can assure you that we are here. The former Minister of Finance is currently in court, right? He is challenging a lot of things. That shows you that he himself has confidence in the judiciary and is willing to explore the options that are available to him. So why should we be more interested in political commentary? In any case, it is not only the OSP that is investigating the former finance minister.
Who else?
Yoko is doing the same. NIB is doing the same. So,
what is Yoko investigating?
I can't give you the details, but it's just enough for us to know that it is not only the OSP that is looking for the cooperation from the former Minister of Finance.
Because OSP's, Yoko is economic and organized crime.
Yeah. They
tend to look more with money laundering. I mean, just by the very architecture and setup and legal acts that created it, you can guess what they're looking for if they're investigating Ofori-Atta. Has he been involved in economic crime? Or suspected crime, economic crime?
The investigations will show. I mean, investigations means that there's a suspicion, and we are investigating to establish whether the suspicion is founded or is true or not. So if you ask me whether he's involved, I won't be able to speak to that, but I know there are investigations concerning him in the circles of Yoko.
And then NIB as well.
NIB as well.
Do you know what the NIB is looking for?
I cannot disclose.
Is it a duplication of what the OSP is doing? Because OSP has published what they're looking for already. Is it a duplication of that?
No.
Completely separate?
Completely.
Completely separate from what the OSP is put out?
So long as the Attorney General Office is involved in the coordination, we will not allow one. It's waste of resources, and it's also abuse of the right of a suspect to be dragged before multiple investigating agencies in respect of the same thing. So we will not allow that to happen.
In other words, if it touches down in Ghana today, the OSP will not be the only institution that will be looking to speak to him.
They will not be the only institution. Other institutions will be interested in his assistance in investigation. And let me. The fact that they are looking for him to assist in investigations that itself does not mean that he's a suspect or he's an accused person or anything. It's just that the office he occupied is an office which deals with money. So, and sometimes documents are enough to satisfy us on what we are looking for. Sometimes you need someone to speak to the documents to be able to even get other people, as accused persons. We need someone to speak to the document. So, for example, if you are investigating me, and then there is a document showing that I did not approve, I'm the minister, I did not approve a certain, the document does not disclose that I have not approved a certain transaction. You'll be interested in confirming for me that, yes, we don't find any evidence of approval, but approval could take other forms. You'll be interested in asking me questions about that particular transaction. If I'm able to explain myself sufficiently, I will go home and you continue your investigations with the person who is the primary object of the investigation. You may not need to haul me before a court or to ask me any questions anymore. And that is what maybe, let me take this opportunity to maybe not to educate, but to explain something to the public, that the fact that you have been invited to assist in investigation is not conclusive that you have committed a crime or that you'll be a subject of court. Sometimes you just have to give information for other people. And you know, something we are discovering is that a lot of the crimes that are being investigated are connected in one way or the other to either some individual or some project or some, because if money goes from here, maybe Mr. A has been awarded a contract. He took the money, he's not performed the contract. Okay. Then you realize that in his account, the money landed on this date. Immediately after that, 20%, 10% of the money which was given to him moves to another public official's account. There must be someone to speak to this. How come 10% of this money found its way to your wife's account, to your nephew's account, to your own personal account, or this cash was given to you this day, and we realize that the moment the cash left here, this bank, the same amount is deposited in this account which belongs to you? These are questions that we need to ask. If you're able to give us explanations to them, you walk and you go home. So coming to assist in investigation itself not any...
And just before we wrap up, legal education. I know you are a lecturer, so
yes.
We've been told that we should expect the bill. Where are we with that bill? I'm sure, is it gone to cabinet yet?
The bill is ready. Maybe let me take the opportunity to give you an idea of what the bill will achieve. So currently, all universities that are running the LLB program, including the foreign ones, they produce LLB graduates. But the LLB graduates would have to, apply to Makola to be, that's Ghana School of Law, to be admitted to read for the QC or the professional course. So you see that every year there is an entrance exam, and all the graduates from all the universities apply, they sit for exams, and then a certain number is admitted based on the performance in the exams and also the capacity that the law school has that is taken into account, and they are admitted. Over the years, there have been serious issues with that process. Now, what the reform bill is trying to achieve is that a lot of the subjects, first of all, there will not be any, not that there will not be any law school, the universities are going to be given accreditation to run some of the professional courses in the universities. So when you enter Legon, for instance, you will apply to be admitted to the LLB program, right? And then after LLB, there will be 1 year, or 2 years, depending on what Parliament agrees to, where you will run civil procedure, criminal procedure, all the courses that you need to professionally qualify to be a lawyer. You can read them in, say, Legon. Then, when you pass those courses in Legon, then you now apply to take the final exams. So
you sit for the bar?
Sit for the bar. The technical, you sit for the bar exams. And when you pass the bar exams, you are called to the bar. Which
is what happens in the US. And I know you schooled.
Exactly. So we are just trying to align ourselves to the international trend. So
you can sit for the bar anywhere.
Anywhere. In fact, you can do your LLB in Legon and go and do your professional law in Gempa, and then apply to Makola to get to take the bar. So we are trying to be flexible. We are trying to give people options, and we're also trying to ensure, most importantly, that there is integrity in the training process. So, for example, you will not be given accreditation to run the professional law course simply because you are running an LLB program. We would have to, the General Legal Council, the Board of Legal Education, would have to inspect and certification of schools to give them accreditation. Some of the things that the bill will ensure is that your law school must have a moot court facility, because the legal community is interested in practice and building advocacy. Because general view among lawyers is that advocacy is dying go to court these days, and you don't get that kind of advocacy, presentation of argument, organization of argument, whether in written form or even in speech. So it's going to be one of the key things that, so if you don't have a moot court facility, you definitely are not going to get admission. If you don't have the quality of teachers, in terms of practice, so it's not going to be, the law professional program is not going to be taught merely because you are a doctor of law in something. You might have demonstrated practice experience. So persons who may not necessarily have any doctorates in law, but have demonstrated and have acquired enough, organized learning, knowledge in practice, may be teaching the professional law program, while a PhD holder in constitutional law or business law may not be qualified to take the professional program. So these are some of the things that the bill would be introducing. So
the General Legal Council then becomes the administrating body.
Definitely.
For all they sort of supervise all the universities running the LLB course and then the professional course.
Yeah. So actually, there's going to be a decoupling of the. Currently the General Legal Council is responsible for legal education. And then professional standards. There's going to be decoupling of that. So there will be a different body which will run the legal education aspect and will be responsible for calling persons to the bar. Then there will be another body that will be responsible for maintaining standard once you are called to the bar.
So that's the GLC will remain.
And
their focus will just
exactly. So by the educational function will be taken and given to.
So we're creating a new institution.
A new institution to take to.
There are those who believe you should scrap the GLC altogether.
No, the GLC is, I think those who say that because of their role in other aspects of, for example, legal education and other things. But I'm sure when the decoupling is done and the structure is given, those people will not see the General Legal Council is irrelevant. It is indeed relevant.
So far as it relates to the governance of the practice itself,
of
the
law,
lawyers.
It is relevant. But for education, we think that other...
So this bill will strip it of its educational role.
And you see, let me give you a bit of history. The GLC was supposed to be a stopgap measure when at the time. It was meant to, because at the time we didn't have a lot of lawyers. So we didn't have enough people to form a separate body for legal education, a separate body for ensuring standards at the bar, and a separate regulatory body for judges. So the GLC was playing all these roles. It was responsible for enrollment to the bar, standards, and even practice and disciplinary matters. So it was loaded with that because we didn't have a lot of they required human resource to place these functions that are different. That was, so if you read the memorandum to the Act 30, that is what you see. It's been how many years? 60 years, 1960, now we are in 2024, and we are still operating the same system. It's really not what it's supposed to be. So this is just to correct or to remove that stopgap measure, which ended up being there for a very long time, so that proper administration of legal education.
Has Cabinet had a look at it yet, or is still in Cabinet?
It's still in the process with Cabinet.
With Cabinet, okay. But the Attorney General has done the reviews already.
Oh yes, so the lawmaking process, it moves to Cabinet, it comes back to AG's department, the drafting department, even when it's in Parliament, drafting department, so it's still, let's say, it's still with us.
Okay.
Yeah.
But when do you expect that it will go to Parliament?
We are in this June.
Yeah.
By August,
we should go.
It should be leave.
I mean, your expectation is that
by the end of this year. Yeah. By the end of this parliament sitting, it should be.
It should be passed.
It should be passed.
Okay.
So maybe the next batch of students who will be taken will not go to Makola, or there will be a transition period, but we'll give options for taking your LLB program. I mean, your professional course program in the universities would be available to you.
But you're very certain that next year there will not be entrance exams?
So there must be some transition period, because some people have already done the LLB and they have already prepared to, I think they're going to take the exam next month.
Yeah.
And then, so we need to provide avenues for transition. So to that extent, people will still be going through that process. But I am sure by the end of 2-3 years, there wouldn't be anything of the old system. People will just continue the education but
let's note that it's part of your proposals in your manifesto, that this is something that you do, and that box you're ticking. Yeah. I'm grateful.
Thank you very much. Thanks so much.